business needs, managing project deadlines, designing software interface, and the correct answer is understanding business needs and recommending solution. So we go to the second one. The second one says, what should the business analyst do first when a stakeholder requests a new system? The first option is immediately start documenting requirements, build a top prototype, ask questions to understand the problem behind the request, and assign the task to a developer. Well, majority of people got that correctly. Ask questions to understand the problem behind the request. So we have the third one, which says, which of the following best describes our requirements? A feature developers want to build, a project timeline, a technical system design, a document need or capability required by the stakeholders, and everybody got that right. A document need or capability required by the stakeholders. So the fourth one is, who is primarily responsible for defining business needs in a project? Developers, stakeholders or business users, system administrators, project sponsors, and the correct answer, obviously, is stakeholders and business users. What is one key skill every business analyst must have? First option, coding expertise, strong communication and questioning skills, graphics design, database administration. A BA must definitely have strong communication and questioning skill. So number 6, what are the clear requirements important in a project? So we have the reduce misunderstanding and project risk. They make a documentation longer, they help developers work slower, they replace stakeholder communication. And obviously the right answer is the reduce misunderstanding and project risk. Oh, I'm noticing a lot of people are not participating in the poll. What is happening? We have 79 people on the call. So just have 24 people out of 79 people on the call participating in the poll. It's actually a very simple question. So please, let's join. Let's join in. So number 7 says, what is one common mistake in requirements gathering? So we have the first option, asking too many questions, speaking with stakeholders, assuming you already answered, understand the problem, documenting findings. All right. Oh, some people are saying they can't see the question. You might need to relog in if you can't see the question. All right, more people have joined. So I have 32 people here. So yeah, we want more people taking the poll. We want more people taking the poll. So yeah, if you are missing out on the phone, you can. Oh, another person is saying she can't see the poll. Sorry about that, Kayla. You might probably just need to log out and relog in to be able to see it. All right. I don't know if anyone is also having any issue with seeing the poll. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So I'll move to question. All right. Question 8, it says the main role of a business analyst in a Salesforce documentation. The first option is configure all Salesforce object and field, translate business needs into requirements for the solution team, manage the system servers, write Apex code. I'm sure everybody got that right here. Translates business needs into clear requirements for the solution team. So number 9 says, which technique is commonly used by the BA to understand business processes? We have process mapping or workflow diagrams, writing code scripts, server configuration, and graphic illustration. So yeah, you can also put the answer in the comments. Okay, yeah. Basically, everybody got that right too. That's process mapping or workflow diagram. And the last question is, what is the best way for a business analyst to validate that requirements are correct? Send them to developers immediately, review and confirm them with the stakeholders, keep them private until the project ends, and wait until testing begins. And obviously, the last one is B, review and confirm them with the stakeholders. So we are going to be ending the poll right now. All right, so these are the answers to the questions for those who participated and those who couldn't participate. So I'm sure majority of us actually did well. So I would love to us to give ourselves a round of applause. We actually did well. Like majority of the questions, you guys got it right. So you guys, you guys came ready. So you guys give yourself a round of applause for that. Give yourself a round of applause for that. All right. So we're going to be moving into the reason why we are all here. I'm sure we did not come here to play games. I'm sure we did not come here just for the icebreaker. We all came here to see pay, pay, work, and magic. Pay has been in the industry for a very long time. She is a very experienced business analyst, and not just a business analyst, one that knows her source. And once you meet someone who knows her source very well, I'm sure the best thing you want to do is to get your writing material, come with a mind ready to learn, and pay rapt attention. So I'm going to be introducing Pay, and I'm going to be bringing her on. So she basically shows us what we need as a PA to thrive in the ecosystem. So I'm going to be bringing Pay on. So Pay, over to you, please.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I cannot type in the chat. I don't know why. But I was watching all the answers and I'm thinking, why am I here? You all seem to know all the answers from the poll. But I'm really, really so glad to be here. Let me share my screen. Is it okay?
Yeah, you can. Let me just stop sharing.
Okay. Right. Okay. So luckily, I have designed it so that you see my screen? Okay. So initially I thought this was a 2-hour session. So I designed it for 2 hours. I had 2-hour content, and then I realized, oh, it's only an hour. So I had to squish it down to 1 hour. But I asked myself, what can I share with you today that you are unlikely to see elsewhere, that you are unlikely to get the deeper level of information, say from any LLM that you might be using. So I decided that I wanted to add a layer to it. So let me start. Let me show you. I actually have many slides. I'm going to spin through a lot of them. I'm going to share with you a little bit about me. For those of you who have been to some of my talks before, I'll talk about the 4 things that I believe to be true. I'll talk about active listening, Socratic questioning, visual communication, right? So those are the 3 things. I'm using something called Menti. I'll share with you the links shortly. But so briefly, you can see I kind of like started my career in the last century. Did my comp science in 1995, graduated, and I've been with Microsoft partners for a really long time. I've done all of this. I've been a call center consultant, database admin, trainer, QA, project manager, solution architect, CRM consultant, all of this, program manager, head of delivery as well. And then for a short while, I was with the end user for a couple of, about half a year. And then I moved over to Salesforce. When I came over, I kind of like stayed over here because there are a lot of people who are a lot cleverer than me. And I thought I will let them get on Trailhead and be just really, really good at the platform knowledge. And then in 2020, I started my own company called ZenHow. And what I do now is I train people how to run discoveries and coach project managers and architects into the leadership role. So broadly, I have about 30 years of project delivery experience. I've done all sorts of projects, mostly from the consulting point of view, though, except for the short stint over here where I did it from the client side. So the first part of my career, I was a client-facing technical and functional consultant. The latter part of my life, I have been a project and program manager, so just pulling everyone together And those who know me, who have seen me talk before, will know that a core part of my identity is I have been a Samaritans volunteer for the last 17 years. Samaritans is a UK organization that supports callers in crisis who are feeling suicidal. So I learned a lot about listening, about holding space, about being non-judgmental. And I can tell you, I could kind of like draw a line here. When I started in 2009, a lot of my projects got a lot easier. And the reason why they got easier was I was better at listening. I was coaching my team to listen to each other and being there for each other. So I think this is a small trick that I'm going to share with you that's going to make a huge impact. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to use Mentimeter. So can you log on to Menti and put in this code and share that in the chat? I cannot actually type in the chat, and I don't know why, but if I could, I would just, share this with you. But in the meantime, if you can do that, that will allow you to participate in this question. Okay, so when you hear the words business analysis, what's the first word that comes to mind? Just pop it in so that we can see collectively what everyone feels business analysis means to you. Wow, active listening is a big part of that. Anything else? Requirements, from the poll, I can see that many of you have lived in the space and therefore you kind of know what you're talking about. There's a lot of words called requirements there. I love that. User stories, gap analysis is really good. Stakeholder management is a big, big part of it. I love this. Seeking understanding is really, really important. There were two answers from the earlier questions I wanted to pull out. One was from Mo Mohammed, I think, another one from Gladys, which was a question, the answer to the trivia. When a stakeholder says, we need a new system, what do you say first? And that is, ask them why. So I'm loving what I see here. Process improvement, strategy builder, bridging the gap, consulting, SDLC. Somebody here is remembering what they've learned from university. Okay, really, really good contribution there. Now I'm going to ask another question. It's slightly different. Okay, so the art of business analysis is using your words to create nuance and clearer understanding. So this question was, when you hear the words business analysis, what's the first word that comes to mind? Now, my second question is slightly different, and it says, what is the most important quality a successful business analyst needs to have? What's the quality? Not what do they do, but what's that thing that they need? What's that X factor, I should say? I've been in a lot of requirements gathering workshops, and I have observed people who are really good at what they do. And I think there's just one quality that outstrips everything else. And I want to see if it comes out here. A lot of really good answer. Communication. Clairvoyance. I love that. Who wrote that? I think it's a little bit magic what we do, especially those of us who do things really well. Analytic thinker, truthful questioning, inquisitive, knowing the whys, asking questions, love that. Exceptional communication. That is actually pretty non-negotiable. Patience. Great stuff. Okay, I'll tell you my answer. All right, those of you who know me should already know. I see the answer there. Somebody know what I'm going to say. And the answer actually is empathy, right? Now, who knows what empathy means? It actually means the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and see the world from their eyes. Okay. Now, people can say that I'm very empathetic, but when you kind of like peel back the layer, they're not as empathetic as they think they are. So let me show you share with you 4 things that I believe to be true. And this is from like 17 years of being on the phones and listening to people in a way that, you know, a lot of us don't do in our daily lives. Okay, the first thing I believe to be true is that nurture is almost always stronger than nature. What do I mean by that? Right? So let's say you have an apple seed, okay? You plant that apple seed and you let it grow under the sunshine and the rain, and then what you might get is, you know, an apple bush, right? So that is the seed has grown to what it's meant to be. But what if you plant an apple seed and then instead of just letting it grow, you kind of like fertilize it and give it positive affirmation? You know, you fertilize it with some donuts, for example. You might have an apple donut tree. Okay. Now I see the world like that, mainly because of everything that I've heard, you know, in so many years, just being on the phone and being a listener. And what that means is that all of us now, who we are shaped by, of course, what we were born with, our nature, our personality, but also the things around us, the grown-ups around us when we were growing up, our childhood, our neighborhood, the environment you grew up in, you know, in that space. Was it strict? Was it not strict? The culture, the school, your friends, your work, your country, all of that shapes you into who you are today and how you show up. So if you meet someone who is very timid, it may be in their past work life they've had a boss who have been very strict with them and scold them a lot, for example. So this is something to keep in mind, that nurture is not as strong. Sorry, nurture is almost always stronger than nature. This leads me to truth number 2, and that is everybody carries invisible baggage. By the way, I'm really happy for anyone to screenshot and share it. You know, I'm not so stressed about people copying an IP. Just, you know, the idea is worth sharing, so feel free to do that. So truth number 2 is everyone carries invisible baggage. We all are fighting things that no one else knows. So imagine yourself in a room talking, and people are talking to each other. Have you been in a conversation where you think, oh, we're having a conversation, and then the other person suddenly gets really upset and then, you know, kind of leaves the conversation, and you think, oh, what did I say? What did I say that made them upset? And you never know. It could be something as simple as a word that you use that is harmless to you, but to the other person was very loaded for them. So, you know, I'm a gamer. I play computer games, and there are some computer games where you can see the health of a person, like, you know, what's the health bar like, what's the mana bar like. One of the things that I imagine in my head when I'm talking to someone is what is the makeup of nature versus nurture. So it's something that I have in my head when I'm having conversation, to think, oh, that thing you just said there, that sound like, you know, an experience that you had in your past job that is showing up now in, you know, how you express yourself. What does that mean? That means that we're all incredibly unique. Doesn't matter if you have twins. I have twins, and they are so different. Okay, that means that we all have our own stories, our own ideas, humors, memories, hopes, level of tolerance. So if you're parents, your level of tolerance has to go down. You know, your cleanliness tolerance, it all goes down. So at the time in your life, your hang-ups, your trauma, your fears, tragedies, how you talk to yourself, all of that, we're different. And that means we all have different feelings that are tied into certain topics because, again, of our experience. Some people have a lot of sadness, a lot of trauma, a lot of grief and loss in their life. Other people are really lucky and they have got to where they are today without actually being touched by tragedy. And so these different people will have different outlooks. and they will behave in different ways. Okay. So what this means is we all carry invisible baggage. And just by understanding this, when you walk into an interaction with an end user, a client during a workshop, you will already understand that. Why is this person so resistant to change? We are bringing them a new system. It's going to make their life easier. Why are they so resistant? Now, if you grew up where change actually brings a lot of pain and suffering and fear, you do not like change, even if someone says it's good for you, because you've heard that before and it's not turned out to be true. So if you walk into an engagement with empathy, you are likely to be able to connect better with the other person and therefore be a better business analyst. Okay. So the next question is, it's a rhetorical question. All right. The most destructive emotion that I can think of is actually shame. The emotion that drives people to think that there is only one solution out of the pain that they're going through is shame. When I listen to a lot of callers, when I'm on shift, I hear a lot of that emotion. I have been subjected to it. So shame is where someone makes you feel very small, like you're not worthy, like you're less than, you're not good enough. And that just kind of resonates to when everyone talks about imposter syndrome, why I can't do what I want to do, why I can't achieve what I want to achieve. It's because I don't feel like I'm good enough. And a lot of times when we're an adult and we think that, it's usually in the voice of somebody else who said that to us growing up in our life. So I try my best to be as mindful as I can with my words, because words, when people say, there's a saying in English which is sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is not true. Absolutely not true. Words hurt. Words, they have meaning behind it and they can hurt. So wield them carefully, because words can be weaponized. So be very careful about shame. And I try very hard not to create this emotion in anyone in work or outside of work environment. And this leads me to the final truth, right? And this is my belief that the deepest human need is to matter. Now, we've all heard of the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the triangle of needs, where the biggest need at the bottom is safety, food, and clothing, and then goes up to psychological safety, etc. But think about all the people who have taken their lives, and they're rich and they're celebrities. They have everything. But one thing that they don't have a lot of times is they don't feel like they matter. So if I can put this in front of you and you can go away thinking about it, I think it will already make you incredibly effective. So let me do a very, very quick summary of, oh, sorry. Yes, that's a doodle I made. Life needs air, water, food, and shelter to survive, but human needs is to know that we matter. And listening helps us know that we matter. So, quick summary: nurture is almost always stronger than nature. Everyone carries invisible baggage. Shame kills. And the deepest human need is to matter. So, I believe that understanding these four truths will help you become a lot more empathetic and a lot more valuable as a business analyst. So, with that, very quickly, using Minty, I'm hoping all of you have been able to log in. Have a go at ranking. I know this was a question just like this was in the poll earlier on, that I think not everyone was able to participate in. But here, have a go at trying to rank this. I would love to see what you think is the most important thing for a BA. Just have a go. Let me know if you are having trouble with this. So the ranking will move as everybody submits the answer. So I would love to see what comes out. Understanding, managing, asking great question. Understanding business process is right on top there. Tech and sales knowledge is right at the bottom. Let's see, it's still the same. Documentation is winning slightly. Understanding business process is right still at the top. It sounds like everyone who's responding is agreeing that that is the most important thing. I see that only 49 people, 50 people. There's about 92 participants. It's about half of you. Are you having technical issues logging in? Or maybe you're like cooking and listening to me. But that's okay also. I do that sometimes when I've got a call that's like not in a very convenient time for me. So it kind of looks like everyone's in agreement, right? That understanding business process is first thing, asking great question is second, managing stakeholder relationships third, documentation skills, and then knowledge is the last. I think that is the correct ranking. Okay, thank you so much for participating. Let's have a look at what a BA actually does. Okay, I've heard Victor go through the questions, and I've heard some of the answers, and I think all of you know this. Understand what's the current state, understand where they want to go, help them get from where they are to where they want to go, document clearly, and manage expectations. Really easy. That means everyone should be able to do it, right? Everyone should be a great business analyst. Now, that's true. That's absolutely true. You can go on Trailhead. It'll talk more detail about the mechanics of a lot of these things, right? But like I said earlier, that I wanted to find a way to peel back the layer and help you get another level of skill that will amplify your impact. Okay, and it sounds really easy, but it's not as easy as it sounds, if that makes sense. So when I sat down and I have a good think about what separates a good business analyst and an outstanding one, and the difference is the ability to truly listen, to understand, the ability to ask the right questions, and also understand that when you phrase it differently, you're going to get a different answer, which may or may not be where you want to take it. And third is to document or communicate your understanding with words and with diagram. Okay, so these are the three core meta skills that actually applies to everything, right? Not just BAs, but you're talking about developers, architects, project managers, etc. But our role as a BA is to understand and translate. So that makes us by default a communicator and a translator. And if you don't understand correctly, you're gonna translate wrongly already. So this is really, really important. And I drew this one some time ago when someone asked me, what does a business analyst do in the different project phases? So I sat there and I just put a big list down, listener, question asker. I'm an illustrator. I love drawings. You can see explainer, speaker, persuader, negotiator, documenter, communicator, writer, influencer, prioritizer, consensus builder, feather unruffler, line draw configurator, configurer, builder, tester, fixer, trainer, enhancer, fixer of all. And I think if I remember rightly, Anne saw my post and she actually said cat herder, which I think absolutely correct. So we do so many things, and this particular post actually got a lot of feedback, and everyone said, yes, I feel like that all the time. And a lot of that, if you look at that, is communicating. Right. Let's get started with the first bit. Okay. And a lot of you said this earlier, active listening. Now, in my courses that I run, right? I talk about listening and I say, right, who here thinks that they are really good at listening? And they put their hands up. And then we do a role play and they find out that they actually weren't as good a listener as they thought. Okay. Now, active listening has many, many layers and levels to it. Let me show you a couple of things. So, one, is it when you're listening, are you focus or me focus? When I'm listening, I'm thinking about you or about me. Okay. So if you're talking and I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat later or the very last donut, who's going to eat the last donut? I'm actually thinking about me and not you. Okay. If I'm thinking about you when you're talking, that means focused on you and my mind's not going anywhere else. I'm actually paying attention to you. So what's the difference? When I am me focused, all this will resonate with you. I'm crafting my reply to jump in and interrupt when you next pause. I am thinking about a time when my situation was worse, and I want to tell you about my we all know people like that. Oh, I just broke my leg. Oh my goodness, I broke both legs. Oh, I just got laid off. Oh my goodness, you know what? I can tell you about the time when I got laid off 10 times. They always have a story. This person is not a good listener, right? They're coming up with solution to fix your problem. They're mentally hurrying you up. Come on, come on, come on. Tell me, tell me. I want to get to the part where you caught your partner cheating on you. I want you to get to the part where you slapped your boss. Whatever. You know what I mean, right? You want to hurry them up. You're not actually listening to them. You're wondering, I'm wondering when you're going to stop because actually your story is a bit boring. And I'm thinking about when I'm next going to eat because actually it's pretty boring. You know, all variations of this is what happens. Okay, I'm going to have a caveat here because someone called me out on this. And it was someone who admits to me that he is neurodivergent, ADHD and autism, right? So he's saying that he finds it really, really hard to connect to these things that I'm talking about because how their brains are wired is very different from neurotypicals. Okay, so everything I'm talking about here is for neurotypicals. If you find that they don't resonate or you find it really hard, if you find that, oh my goodness, I do all these things, but it's very hard for me not to do them, right? Then maybe it's time to have a conversation. So my daughter, I'm going to be sharing this. My daughter has been diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and she tells me this, Mom, I need to interrupt you because I have a thought in my head that I have to share right now because if I don't share right now, it's going to really hurt my brain. So I'm just going to put it out there. That means, again, going back to the empathy, if you find someone who's doing this to you, have some empathy because they might find it really, really hard. And then you got to lean onto your communication skills to try and understand why and help them out and also help them to understand you when you've got something you want to share. So that was my slight digression. Okay. When I'm focused on you, I'm actually listening to your story and your words, the language that you're choosing to use. Are you upset? Are you miffed? There's a word in the British language called miffed. Are you furious? Are you vexed? They have so many words for upsetness that are very different in layers. So what words are you using and do they mean what I think they mean, right? Your non-verbals and your body language. So your pitch, your tone, your timbre, your speed of how you speak. So when I am on my shifts and I'm listening to the phone, I can only hear a voice and I have to try and understand how they're feeling by just the voice, the tone, the timbre, the pitch, the pause, the heartbeat, the breaths, and try and get that emotional energy. Because when you're focused on the other person and you can really understand the emotional energy and state, then you can connect and you can respond correctly. On the next axis of listening, it's feeling versus facts. So if someone is talking to me and I'm saying, oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? Right? And we are not empathetically connecting to that person. Right? So if we are focused on feelings, then we are actually a lot more empathetic. And you use this in two different scenarios. So I would focus on facts. If I'm problem solving, if I'm in a high conflict situation, dealing with a professional problem, having a difficult conversation that's potentially confrontational, things like giving someone feedback on their performance review, talking to your manager about what's happened that might be quite difficult. You focus on the facts. Now, I focus on the feelings, especially as a PM, as somebody who's looking after people, is when someone is trying to share some vulnerable feelings, I pay attention, I'm in the moment, I'm listening deeply, and I'm trying to get into their state because the other person wants to share something that they find very difficult to say. So it's the other side of a difficult conversation. Okay. The other axis is listening and problem solving. Are you active listening when you're problem solving? So when you're problem solving is, well, I think you should do this. How many of us come back to our partner or our parent and we go, oh, the day I've had, can you, this happen? And then your partner or your parent or your child or your cousin or your friend says, why don't you do this? Why don't you leave your job? Why don't you leave him? Why don't you do X, Y, and Z? And how many times do we think, oh my goodness, I don't really want your advice. I just want to tell you what's been going on. I just want to vent. How many times has it happened to us? So my lovely husband, and I love him so much, it took me many years. We've been married many, many years. I trained him to not solve my problem, please. He is a problem solver. And sometimes I just want to vent. So you got problem solving, and then you have just listening. Is it, well, what do you think you should do? What are your options? Okay. So this one is also the difference between directing and coaching. So those of us who are going or who are in leadership positions, this is something that you need to understand. What is the difference? So this is the difference that I'm going to share with you. I focus on problem solving or directing when I'm dealing with a professional problem, or I'm mentoring an inexperienced junior talent requiring guidance. Because they don't have the experience to know and they might be in a stressful situation, I will try and coach them as well, but sometimes they just need a little bit more of a guiding hand. I focus on listening and coaching when I am mentoring a self-directed professional looking to grow and develop. So I don't want to give them the answer all the time. I don't want to solve their problem all the time. I just want to give them space to think about, what are my options? What are the obstacles I'm currently, facing right now? Okay, so that's kind of like the three axes of listening. Are you focused on the other person or yourself? So focus on the other person. Are you focused on facts or feelings? That depends on the context of your conversation. And are you in the directing or coaching mode? Right? So again, that's very contextual. So I get a lot of people coming up to me with, how do I know what to do then? Do I listen? Do I help them? Do I ask them what happened? What do I do? The first thing you do is ask them, how can I best support you right now? Do you just want to vent? You just want to complain, and you don't want to you don't want me to solve your problem, or do you actually want me to help you generate some options and brainstorm some ideas, or do you want me to tell you what to do? Right? So based on what the other person says, and also contextually, like I said, a lot of younger junior professionals, they want to be told what to do, and then it's a professional judgment to try and stretch them a little bit and not give them all the answers, otherwise they're not going to grow. So I'm going to pause there for a few minutes. I've been talking quite a bit. Are there any questions you want to pop in there just on what I've said so far? Are there any questions in the chats? I had a quick look. Okay, it looks like none. Let me continue. Okay, let me share with you something called right. So a lot of people ask me, how do I learn how to listen about active listening? Now, the Samaritans, it is not my I didn't invent this, by the way. They came up with this thing called the shush technique. SHUSH, shush technique. In oh, I think my slides are not wrong. And it stands for this one. Okay, the first S stands for show you care, right? So be present. I mean, you focus, not me focus. I'm not thinking about my donuts. You're present in your mind, body, and your heart means you're putting your phone away. If you are talking to a person, you are really saying, right now, the most important person is you. Not my phone, not what I'm thinking to make for dinner, what I'm going to shop, that email that I got just before we got on this call. No, show I care, right? That's the very first thing to say. Tell the other person that they matter to you right now. H is you have patience, okay? You observe the body language and the nonverbal, and you respect the silence. That is a very difficult thing to do. I think a lot of people find it very difficult to hold the silence. It makes people uncomfortable, right? But sometimes when you are having a serious and a vulnerable conversation, the speed and the tone will drop because that is the mood. And when someone is trying to share with you a very hard thing that's weighing on their soul, and they fear judgment from you, they might struggle with the words to say. And if you don't like silence, you're going to jump in and you're going to ask questions and you're going to pepper them with questions and interrogate them. And then they're going to feel more stressed and they're not going to share with you what they want to say. And the moment to listen will slip away. So respect the silence and understand that sometimes people find it very difficult to say what's in their soul because we all fear judgment. Remember one of the truths that I was talking about, which is shame, right? If I want to tell you that I'm thinking of leaving my partner, your culture might frown upon things like that, regardless of what the things that your partner's done. So that's a very difficult thing to say, and they might feel that you will judge them for it. So respect the silence. Okay. You use open questions. Okay, open questions are questions that require an essay answer, not essay answer, but those of us who've been at school, they are not multiple choice, not binary, but they are questions like, tell me more. How did that make you feel? And not are you angry? Because the answer is yes or no. And then the conversation stops. Okay. So open questions, be curious, do not judge. And a lot of us will understand what judgmental means, right? So how many of us know a mother or an aunt who has this eyebrow that is as judgy as possible? You're doing something and they look at you and this eyebrow goes up and you go, oh my goodness, I've done something wrong there. So we judge by the words we say, the words we don't say, and the tone. Like, really? Really? The different tone will convey different feelings, right? Eye rolls, that is pure judgment and it's contempt. An eye roll is the worst ever. Don't do that. Don't do that. That tells someone that you're dismissing them, that you think that they're less than who they are. So if you one thing you can take away, just Don't do the eye rolls. Okay. Don't problem solve when you're having a vulnerable conversation unless you're having a professional one, right? The next S is say it back. Show that you have understood what they've said by paraphrasing, summarizing. Make sure you use the correct word. So if the other person said upset and you replace it with angry, that is not a like for like replacement. Then you're probably misrepresenting what they say. This other bit, this is really important. Okay, I'm going to highlight this. Reflect and label. Now there's going to be times when you read the nonverbal incorrectly, right? And I love someone said clairvoyant earlier on in the word cloud. It wouldn't be great if we all could read minds, but we can't. So I might think that you're upset because you've just gone through the whole meeting with like this, right? And I've asked you, so Victor, what do you think of this proposal? And you go, fine, right? Now the ability to reflect and label allows you to surface the assumption. Victor, it sounds like, even though you said you're fine, but your body language kind of tells me that you don't agree with what we just said. Can you tell me a bit more? Am I kind of like imagining it or not? And that gives the other person an opportunity to correct you or not. So actually, it's fine. It's fine. Or no, actually, you know what? I said it's fine, but it's not really fine because of these reasons. So you're giving the other person an opportunity to correct you. And that's like so powerful, right? The mistake is to assume and don't get correction for it. Don't um, surface that assumption, because that's going to go down the wrong path. All right. And then finally, all right, the final H is to have courage. Be prepared to ask difficult questions and to hear difficult things. And the one thing that cuts across everything, all profession, all work situations, home, romance, friendship, all of that, and I want you to think about it properly, is the fear of having difficult conversations. The fact that we are so scared of conflict that we don't tell the person how we feel, what we think, and you just let the pain carry on, whatever that might be, right? The fact that you were overlooked for promotion, the fact that a parent might have said something that really hurt you, which they may or may not be aware of, and so many things, and we fear asking the hard questions and having courage. So that actually is shush technique. If you can remember that, that will, like stand you in good stead. And again, help you be a much better business analyst. And I love this. Grab this picture. All right. Effective problem solving always begins with active listening. They always do. And I love the word cloud, and I love all the stuff in the chat where it sounds like a lot of you understand what that means. Okay. Part 2 of being a good business analyst is Socratic questioning. And I don't think many people understand what this is. And unless you do philosophy, as you study philosophy or you study law, very few people talk about Socratic questioning. Okay, Socratic questioning is the heart of critical thinking. And one of my bugbear right now with AI is that people have stopped thinking properly. They just ask AI, it spits out something that sounds vaguely professional and vaguely correct, and you never ask. So I hope that as many of you will take away what I say here and question. The art of questioning is amazing, right? Here are 6 Socratic questions that I want to talk about. 1 is to clarify. 2, to probe assumptions. 3, to probe reasons and evidence. 4, viewpoint, perspective, implications, consequence, and about the question itself. So I'm presenting this on Menti, by the way. So it's got a limit of 100 slides. So I've got 100 slides here. And the next few slides, actually, I wanted to cut them up a little bit, and it doesn't do dynamic display. So it's going to be a little bit text heavy. I hope you'll listen to me. And if you want, like I say, grab a screenshot. I don't mind. But, I hope that you listen to what I say rather than read and not listen. Okay. So the first one is about clarity. Questions that ask for clarity is to surface missing or unclear information so that you make sure that you both mean the same thing. So these are some of the questions, right? Can you provide some background? What's the context? Who asked the question? What gave rise to this question? Now, in discovery, this is what I mean. When you say the system needs to be easy to use, walk me through what it would look like for you right now. What does it mean to be difficult? You mentioned the current system is broken. Give me a specific example. What happened? What do you mean by real time? Are we talking seconds, minutes? What does that mean? What's real time? Oh my goodness, real time. I have a problem with real time and simultaneous and timeliness and seamless and all these questions, all these words in requirements, because it's very hard to pin down. You need to pin all these down, right? Second one is questions that probe assumptions. Okay, so what it is gently surface what the client is taking for granted without making them feel stupid, right? You don't want to make anyone feel dumb. Remember the truths, okay? And shame. The moment you make someone feel bad, you have lost that rapport and the connection already. And that person will not help you get the answers you need. All right. So from a human to human, as best as you can, find a way to never make people feel dumb or less than. Okay. But to be a good business analyst, you must probe assumption. When someone says something that you know to be absolutely not true, find out why they say what they've said. Okay, so what are the assumptions? How can you prove that? Okay, some of these are like the questions are a little bit sharp. So you said that Salesforce will fix this. What would need to be true for this to happen, right? So maybe you need expertise and things like that. You mentioned the team will just adapt to the new system. How do you know they'll just adapt? It sounds like we're assuming the data in the current spreadsheet is clean for migration. Oh my goodness, how many of you have done data migration? And someone said, oh, it's very clean, it's dedupe, no problem. And then you hit roadblock, right? Why are they assuming that it's true? Let's kind of dig a little deeper in a kind way, in a tactful way. Don't make people feel dumb, because nobody likes that. Sometimes when someone makes you feel that way and you feel like, I just want to take my revenge, hold it in, be the bigger person. Not easy, but it'll pay off in the long run. It just builds character anyway. No, for Bill's character. Right. Third, right, probing for reasons and evidence is finding out what's behind the statement and be curious. Okay, I'm just going to jump here. What's making you say that the current process isn't working? How often does this actually happen? What led you to the conclusion? So this is more evidence. The previous one is assumption. What are they assuming? And this one is the evidence itself, right? Next, we are now probing the viewpoint and perspectives. And this is really interesting because not enough people ask these sort of questions. So this opens the conversation beyond the one person in the room, right? Everyone has a different view. So we are asking, I have another training where I talk about the de Bono hats, putting different hats on. What if you took on the hat of someone who is skeptical? What other things would they say? Take on a hat of somebody who is risk averse, someone who is excited for the new system, someone who is doom and gloom. All the things can go wrong. Let's just put it, this number 4, probing viewpoints and perspective, is specifically about the de Bono hats, putting different hats on and trying to generate as much really useful arguments and counterpoints as possible and just lay them on the table. And this is only possible if you have a psychologically safe environment for this to happen. Because if you don't, then it doesn't happen, because everyone's afraid of saying the wrong thing. Okay, this is a talk for another time. Anyway, but just remember this, okay? What might someone else think about this proposal that we're putting forward, so that you can kind of have a more rounded view. Probing implication and consequence. So basically, what would happen if we did this, right? So understand the inferences and deductions and the end result if the inferred action is carried out. So Agentforce. Let's put Agentforce in. And you put it in, and then it's gonna make our world better, and we can let go of all these people who's done this job, and what's going to happen next. It's making us think further. It is a critical thinking tool, right? So example, if we build it this way and the edge case comes up, what's going to happen? If we don't solve this in the next 6 months, what does it mean? You said you want to keep the approval process as it is. What would happen, if they're not in the office? Is there a backup? So it's thinking through the consequences, intended and unintended consequences. Not enough people think about that at the moment in this day and age. And finally, and this is also super, super, super important, it's a question about the question. All right. It is stepping back and asking whether we're all looking at the right problem in the right way, right? What is the point? What's this problem we're solving? Remember the trivia question that Victor put out right in the beginning? Somebody saying we need a new system. It's like, why do we need a new system? Is it because the old one's broken? Is it because something new come up from this new system that is very sexy and you want it? Or did you just do the trailhead and you thought it's super cool and sexy and you want to implement it? Why? Why is it important we learn the answer? And who asked this question, right? So example might be, is the reporting issue the root cause, or is it something else? Is improving the sales process the right thing to do, or is it the lead generation? Is it a handoff between sales and ops that is the issue? And by the way, who said that this was a problem, and who's affected by this decision if we're taking it? So these are the 6 question types. I know it's a lot. Some of them will overlap contextually. You come across a situation, but if I were to go back early in my career, as in a business analyst hat on, I might print all this out and just have it there so that I remind myself when I am in requirements elicitation workshop to make sure that I hit as many of those question types as possible, because the quality of your solution is defined by the quality of the questions that you ask. Here's a bonus for you that's not related to business analysts. The quality of your life is also defined by the quality of question that you ask yourself. So as an example, if I failed an exam and I ask myself, oh, why am I so stupid? Why did I study so hard? And I'm just stupid. I'm just dumb. My teacher was correct. Why was I born this way? Versus, oh, I failed that question. What can I do to make sure it doesn't happen again? Who can I talk to that will help me out the second time? What kind of methods can I use to remember things better? Can you see the different states that I'm in depending on the questions that I ask? And that's why questioning is a really, really important skill. Understanding of how to ask, what to ask, when to ask will lead you down different paths. And if those are the questions that you ask yourself, it will create different emotional states. So to those of you who suffer from imposter syndrome, who are insecure, who find yourself in a place of uncertainty, ask yourself how you talk to yourself And what are the questions that you ask? Are they quality questions or are they not? Okay, back to regular programming. We're talking about business analysis here. And this particular doodle came on my very first book, the Discovery book. What's my book? The Discovery book. You want to know why something is happening, and you want to know the real reason, and not just assume that he wears big shoes because he's a clown, but actually no, he's got big feet. My kids thought that was a very silly diagram, because I was trying to think, how can I in one picture describe what I want to say about how important it is to understand why. And this was what I came up with. That's my brain for you. I hope you found that amusing. Right, I got next bit. All right, I have 12 minutes to try and speed. Oh, Jennifer, you got that book. Yay. Awesome. I'm going to see you in next month. Oh, both books. Awesome. I'm going to see you soon, Jennifer, and give you a big hug.
Yes, see you in Poland.
Yes, that's next week. Oh my goodness, I can give you a hug next week. Right. I now have 11 minutes to spin through this. So we've got visual communication, which is the last one. Now, this is why is it important? I'm talking specifically about visual communication and not documenting requirements. Because of this, actually, it's thinking about how we all learn, right? There are different learning styles. We have visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. 65% of us learn by visual, visually. I am incredibly visual, right? Images, diagrams, charts, tables, and things like that. Auditory is listening. I'm not so much good at listening. My brain just doesn't process. I need to see. So when I need to get from A to B, I need to see the map. I can't take it when someone says turn left here, turn right here, go to this landmark, second left, third left, and then roundabout, blah, blah, blah. No, I need to see it first. And the 5% learn by doing and hands-on experience. So I don't think a big wall of text documentation actually sits in any one of this. I believe that visual is diagrams. Diagrams convey understanding. Okay, so this is how in the olden days we do process mapping. We didn't have Miro, or Lucidchart, or Figma, or Visio. I had brown paper on the wall, gave people post-it notes, and then stick them and then do the process maps. Right, what I want to say now. So remember the word cloud that we had earlier on was there were a lot of process mapping answers there, which is correct. Now for this part, the final 10 minutes, I want to talk specifically about process mapping, because anyone can write user stories. Actually, not going to, but I think it is so much more important to be able to visualize, because we all have to do process maps as business analysts, or some form of diagrams. Where diagrams, you have to master this. You not only have to understand it, you have to convey that understanding to your end users. And I have people saying, oh, you know what, I'm an admin, hold on a minute, I just had a brain freeze here. I'm an admin, I've never learned business analysis formally. I don't know how to do process mapping. I don't know what hundreds of different diagrams and shapes and all of that. No problem. I can turn anyone into a master process mapping illustrator. Let me tell you what I mean. See, the thing is, if you don't know how to draw, right, and if you don't know how to articulate a business process in diagrams, you cannot tell the other person that you understand what they mean, right? And a long time ago, I've been in projects with Oracle, and again, a long time ago, it's like lots and lots of text where they say, first I log in, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, no diagram. And the user will go, okay. And then when I get it during testing, it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that you're talking about 32 steps. It's going to take me 17 minutes to log a call. Crazy, right? So now if you could draw it, then you could see it straight away. Hang on, 32 steps. That's mad, right? So I'm not trying to teach you how to be clairvoyant here, but almost, right? Oh my goodness. I've done something silly with my the order of my, okay, bear with me. I'm going to skip and jump around. Okay. If you know how to draw all these shapes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes, you can draw arrows, you can draw high quality process diagrams. Okay, but there are some rules you need to follow, and I'll tell you why. Okay, the very first one is start and end. Every diagram must have a start and end. It needs to be this shape, and it needs to have the word start. It needs to have the word end in it. I don't know how many diagrams I have looked at. I don't know where to start because they're all words and they've got many, many endpoints. Where's the start? Where's the end? No, a really good diagram needs to have a start and an end. And I'll tell you now, your end users are not trained as well. You need to make the whatever document you're creating, a diagram or written word, to be as easy as possible. So it's no friction to them. Don't make them think. So have a clear start, have a clear end. I realize I'm running out of time. Activity box is a rectangle and it's a present tense verb. Send email, update status, create reports. I can't spell that. Not past tense, not future tense, present active tense, because it's an instruction. The reason why is because I used to work a lot with offshore team in India. Okay, they can speak English really well, but the tenses of your verbs dictate a timeline. So when you're talking about triggers and you're passing your diagram and your user stories over to an offshore team who wasn't there when you did your workshop, they need to know when to do things. Okay, so always verb, active, present active tense. Okay, decision is always a diamond, right? And then we've got connectors, and I talk about connectors because in the olden days, all my process map had to be printed on an A4 sheet of paper, and so you can't fit them all. I need to think about how do I chunkify and how do I drop down levels so that I can print them all. And then when you're looking at it in a sheet of paper and you're flicking it, you can understand, right? Now you have infinity canvas. It's very hard to navigate. So I tell all the people that I train, please get used to doing this. Now, one note on AI. Yes, you can get AI to draw this, but if you don't master the fundamentals, you won't know when AI's got it wrong. Okay. Next, a case statement is an if then else. I prefer to use a upright rectangle, okay, instead of this one. Let me show you how that might look like. Okay, so your process map should have a start and an end, and I do this only just to pretend there's 2 pages here. Do this and do this, and is it A or B? If it's A, do this with A. If it's B, do this with B. But if they're both the same, then you don't split them out. And then let's go next page. The next page, do this. You got these options, and this is your case statement. If red, do this. If purple, do this. If green, do this. And that is your end. Now I've got some fussiness about, I don't like to combine these arrows to the end so that I can see, oh, there's 3 paths to the end. But that's just me. I drew this some time ago, and I thought I would just share this. Is this guy wanting to give us some flowers? Should he give us some flowers or not? But anyway, sorry, I'm just digressing. I don't know why I put it there. My brain thinks in data models and diagrams. So this is a swim lane, okay? And there are some rules because the swim lanes will map to roles or systems. And sometimes you try not to confuse them both because it can be quite confusing. This next slide, screenshot that. Okay, so these are some process mapping rules, and they come about not because I've been trained. It's because of my experience. When a customer tells me that my diagram, they can't understand it, I fix it and I remember why, They can't understand it. Oh, I didn't have a start icon. Oh, my activity has got more than one arrows coming up. Maybe it should be a decision. When your audience don't know where to go in your diagram, you have kind of failed in your job, right? That's what you need to be. If you're a really good consultant, you can draw really well, and your customer understands what you draw. Okay, and it doesn't need a lot of, you think, oh, I'm not creative, and I don't know. Just shapes and arrows. Listening and asking the right questions will allow you to do this. If you don't understand, get clarity and keep asking till you get your clarity. Never ever assume that you know what they're trying to say or what they want. Always get confirmation and clarity. So my next slide is accurate process flows confirms your understanding of business processes and identifies opportunities for improvement. So you can have two process flow, one's as is, one's the to be. Jennifer showed the book there. This one talks about how you might do that. And I also have that in the Kindle. Right. Then you can design the right solution and articulate the requirements using methods such as user story, functional documents, whatever. There's many, many ways of doing that. But the core skills that I wanted to impart on you was those three: listening, really, really listening, asking really good question, the right question in the right way to get the answer you're looking for, and then communicating your understanding with process maps. With that, so very quickly, I'm going to go to my wrongest answer quiz. Now, I think Victor had some certification vouchers. I also have certification vouchers. I begged it from Alexandra Klein. I think you all know her. She went to West Africa Dreaming. So this one is slightly different also. This will reward the person who's got the wrong answer the quickest. The reason why I decided to have the wrongest answer quiz is it has just no stress. The whole purpose is to actually learn in a very fun way, right? It's not, I don't like giving people stress, like exam stress. We all had enough of that at school and certification. And what I want to impart here is just learning in a fun way. Okay, so choose the wrongest and most outrageous answer. My decision is final, and it's just have fun. Okay, so please make sure that you are on Menti. We only have 13 players. Where's everybody else? I'm running out of time, so you gotta come on if you want to join up. 15 people. There's 71 people on Zoom. Come on, guys. Are you cooking? Are you eating? Are you with your family? Chance to win certification voucher. If you're one of the top 3, please connect with me on LinkedIn and send me your email address, and I will send you the voucher code. Come on, we have 33 people, so that's still less than half. You're going to lose 32. Someone's gone. Okay, more coming. Quick. Otherwise, Rue will say, you've just eaten too much time. Actually, my time is kind of up. Right. Whether you are ready or not, we're going to start the quiz now. 3, 2, 1, go. Also, the fastest finger first. Okay, longest answer. Okay, here you go. The client says it's fine. You should, 15 seconds. Celebrate. One less problem. Write fine and move on. Panic internally, then probe. Send a thumbs up and breathe. Actually, that is not a bad answer, right? Celebrate. But so since this is the wrongest answer quiz, I said write fine and move on was my wrong answer winner for this question. But really what we want to know is it really fine? Remember when I gave you the example with Victor and reflect and label. Let's just Really, don't assume it's fine. Just ask, is it really? Okay, let's have a look at who is currently in the head. Saisi. Oh, well done. Let's see if you can keep it up for the next one. All right. Players at the ready. You plan your next question while the client talks. You're efficient. Peak consultant. Not listening, full stop. 2 steps ahead. Respect. Speed running your discovery. Which is it? Hello, 13 people. You are in the wrong quiz. You are in the rightest answer quiz. This is the wrongest question quiz, wrongest answer quiz. So we have a speed runner, 6 speed runners who have won this round, but 13 people, this is the correct answer, not the winning answer, the correct answer. Yes, if you plan your next question while your client's talking, you are not listening. That you paid attention to my what I was talking about earlier, so I can't be too mad at you. Right, who is the top dog at the moment? So we have Johnson. Yes. No, Saisi is still on top. Very good. You're in the lead. Right, next question. Come on. So I'm going to start quiz. No. Salesforce will fix everything. How many assumptions is buried in it? 0. Salesforce is magic. 1 or 2, probably fine. More than you have time to count. Ask Salesforce, not me. Will it fix? Yeah. 7 of you have the correct answer, but not the winning answer. 12 of you have the winning answer. I hope you don't really believe Salesforce is not as magic as you think. Okay, so yes, this I don't even know where to begin with that one. So 7, you got it right, even though you didn't win this round. I think we got 2 more questions. Oh, who's in the lead now? Let's have a look. Saisi still in the lead. Right, next question. So I have 2 more. Start quiz now. Client wants to continue manually approving request. Oh my goodness, I can't spell that. You ask, what do you ask here? Okay, it's their funeral. Hold on, what's wrong with my thing here? I love that. So 13 of you, winning answer. 7 of you got it right. What happens when the approver leaves, right? It's asking that question and probing why they think that's the right thing to do. Thank you, 13 of you who have a sense of humor, the same sense of humor as me. Right, let's see who's on the leaderboard now. Is it Saisi still? Oh no, you've been beaten by Analia, Kayla, Johnson, and Kevin. Right. Final question. Let's see. We don't really have a process, it just happens. You respect the chaos, document nothing. I found the most important discovery of the discovery. Move to the next topic quickly, or add chaos to the swim lanes. Ooh. Add chaos to the swim lane was what I chose. Well, congratulations, 8 of you with the winning team. 2 of you still in a wrong quiz, but you've got the right answer. What that means is people don't know that they've got process and they haven't documented it. There's always a process. Sometimes it's invisible, but there always is one. Okay, so let's see who's top three. We've got 3 vouchers, so come on. Oh, well done, Analia, Kayla, and Johnson. Do you want to message me on LinkedIn? I will send you your certification vouchers. So let me very quickly close up with this slide. As I mentioned, an outstanding business analyst listens with empathy and hear what's not being said, ask questions with curiosity, not judgment, and communicates complexity with clarity using words, stories, and pictures. And then very quickly, grab this, right? You can get my newsletter. I didn't write one this week because I had some deadlines. If you love all those diagrams, my Insta has got all my diagrams from when I started. You can see how horrible they were when I first started. And yeah, that brings me to the end. Finish. Sorry, Rue and Victor, I went over time. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm just gonna stop sharing now.
All right. All right. So, oh my God, that was such a fantastic section. I'm not seeing the reactions. The reaction is not justifying the experience. So, guys, I want to see the reaction. I want to see the reaction that shows the impacts, the experience, the ability of pay to be just able to make the whole thing relatable, the storytelling that went into the whole section. I want to see the reaction to justify that. You know, I was just like so fixed all through, like everything was basically entering. It was entering and it was just sinking in, and the section was just amazing. It was really amazing. Thank you, Pay, for such an amazing section. Everybody was just saying, Pay is so real, Pay is so real. Yes, Pay is so real. She's real. She's real. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the amazing section. I really love the fact that you brought storytelling into business analysis, and that is what we call a great business analyst, the ability to be able to tell stories around problems, to be able to communicate things in a way people will understand and we get it. I'm even sure if someone who has never heard about business analysis was in this section, the person would definitely fall in love with business analysis. And that is why Pei is a great teacher. And definitely we hope to see more of her in Africa Wana. So we'll be moving to the next section, which is the question and answer. So I'm sure a lot of you have questions you'd like to ask Pay. So you can ask your questions. You can ask your questions and she will attend to the questions. So if you have any question why she was basically giving a presentation that you would like probably more explanation on, or probably something you would need more clarity on, you can ask your question on the chat box and Pay would attend to the questions. All right, I'm still waiting for the questions.
There's one in the Q&A, Victor.
All right. I wanted to say, was she that amazing that there was no question? Oh, come on. All right, let me check that.
That's from Rodrigo.
It's not even a question, by the way. The person is saying, will you come to Mexico dreaming this year? That is not the question I'm looking for. But yeah. So Pay, I don't know if you want to answer to that. Will you come to Mexico dreaming this year?
I don't know, Rodrigo. I've been last year. It was amazing. But I cannot confirm. Thank you for the invite, though. It was amazing.
All right. Someone is saying, how do you prepare for requirements gathering section based on scope only? How do you prepare for requirements gathering section based on scope only?
I would look at the scope. So those of us who've been in RFP, we will have been given some scope, and then we are asked to do workshops. Is what I do. So as a project manager, is I take that and I share it with my team and go, have a look at this and tell me if you understand enough to be able to design the workshops and to have enough understanding of the kind of questions that we need to ask. And if the scope isn't clear, we try and get clarity there. So when, for example, the scope might be integrate with system A, and migrate from system B and decommission system B, right? So we need to understand, what does decommission mean? Do we have enough, the SME? That means the admin for system B. So we need to know the data model for the integration, for the migration. It's just taking the scope, and with your team, if you have a team, or if it's just yourself, is thinking, do I understand everything here? If not, I need to understand. You don't go into a workshop not being clear as to what you're there to do. I don't know. Does that answer the question?
All right. If that answered the question, you can just drop a response to that in the chat box. So we have another question here for Pei. Says, what do you recommend to junior BAs to unleash one's inner ruffler of feathers, developing the courage to ask questions, especially to senior stakeholders? I'll take that again. What do you recommend to junior BAs to unleash one's inner ruffler of feathers, developing the courage to ask questions, especially to senior stakeholders?
Thank you. I love that question. Thank you so much, Renee, for asking that. I would say that it's a combination of a few things. So what you've heard here me saying is being an observer of human nature, right? So what I talked about here is to, when you pay attention, when you're listening, when you're asking question, is you are seeking to understand human nature. So that is actually social intelligence. It's understanding that. So we talk about emotional intelligence, right? If you don't know anything about it, go and Google it and find out. You've got the self-awareness, self-regulation, self-mastery, and then you have others, which is, how you connect with other people. Being socially aware is one part. The other part is creating rapport so that you can influence people. And I talk about this also. I talk about power and politics and the dynamics, right? So it's understanding what someone's motivation is and using influencing strategies to try and create that rapport. So what I would do, I'll tell you, hang on, what's the question? Develop the courage to ask questions to senior stakeholders. I'm talking about way before we were hybrid and stuff like that. I would create a rapport with the senior stakeholders and go, I really want to learn from you. That's like really amazing what I seen you do. I don't know how to do that. And if I'm too scared, I lean on bribery. Those who know me answer, right? I would buy donuts and chocolates and things like that. But now things are virtual. It's a little bit more difficult. You got to pay extra attention, and then it becomes more intentional how you reach out to them, right? How you frame the questions. What I'm going to do is I wrote about this in my latest course. I've got some courses that I put up to sell, and one of them is for new consultants who are joining Salesforce Partners. But I can extract out one bit is to how to ask for help in a way that makes the other person want to help you, right? So there is a way of asking the right questions in the right way so that you don't sound like you are imposing on them, so that it doesn't sound like you were taking the time and things like that. I will dig that out in maybe I'll just put a post, and if you connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn, maybe one of the posts in the next few days is going to be specifically about that topic so that you can take it. Right now my brain feels a little bit tired and I can't come up with the answer for you. Any other questions?
All right. Thank you so much for that. So the next question I have here says, how do you deal with technology gap from stakeholders? For example, they are not techie and they can't quite understand the solutions you want to implement. So how do you deal with this technology gap from stakeholders?
First of all, again, I would go back to empathy. And if you put yourself in their shoes, they're going to be full of fear and insecurity. they'll be thinking, oh my goodness, I'm a dinosaur. This person is saying what feels, flows. I don't understand, and suddenly I feel small, I feel worried, I feel less than, I feel ashamed, right? So first of all, put yourself in their shoes. When they are feeling that way, it's not a great place for them. Okay, so the first thing I do is I understand their world, and I do a lot of implementations where people are using paper and pen. Like I did one for British Library some time ago now. And they were logging cases using post-it notes, and people work there for years and years and years, and they're fearful of tech. Now, if you come in saying this will solve all your problems, they're going to feel even smaller because they don't understand and they don't think you understand them, and you make them feel bad and small. Don't start with saying how I will solve your problem. You begin with listening. You begin by just opening yourself and creating that rapport so that they feel like they matter and that you understand them. That it, oh, they, okay, they understand that I am 60, 70 years old, and I've never used a computer before, and I'm so scared that if I don't learn it, I'm going to lose my job. You need to make that connection first. Then slowly through questioning, you can kind of like bring them on board and make them feel like they are not dumb, like they don't have this gap. And then you create a communication or training or onboarding that is aimed at them. So first, listen, de-escalate any fears or situation before you solutionize. That is the only way you can do that. If you're trying to drag someone who is in previous century kicking and screaming, you're not going to be successful in your change initiative. I hope that answers the question.
All right. Thank you so much, Pei, for the amazing section. Thank you. Okay, there's one more question here. All right. The person is saying, I recently discussed a transition to a consultant role with my manager. However, I'm concerned that this move reflects a view of business analysis as merely a skill to be absorbed rather than a full dedicated role. Is it professional to push back and advocate for the importance of staying focused as a BA to ensure the project quality, or should I accept the consultant title while running the risks of my core BA responsibilities being undervalued or rushed? I think I should take that again. I recently discussed a transition to a consultant role with my manager. However, I'm concerned that this move reflects a view of business analysis as merely a skill to be absorbed rather than a full dedicated role. Is it professional to push back and advocate for the importance of staying focused as a BA to ensure project quality, or should I accept the consultant title while running the risk of my core BA responsibilities being undervalued or rushed?
Thank you for that question. There's two threads in there that I want to say. Depending on the sales practice that you are working for, a larger consultancy will be able to have full-time business analysts because it's a billable role. Smaller practices cannot afford to have a full-time BA. So when you say consultant, that tells me that it's actually a Salesforce partner. Clients will not be able to pay unless they're big clients like a bank or a telecoms company. Many will not be able to pay for a full-time BA role. So it depends on the company that you work at. I would look at the company and see, do they already have full-time BAs? Are they selling projects where full-time BAs are allowed to work on it end to end? Unless you're working with Deloitte or KPMG, that is not going to be likely to be the case. So you might have to take on, all consultants are BAs, by the way, just so you know. This is by default. You will not be a good consultant if you are not a good BA. That is communication, listening, asking great questions. That's a core part of being a great consultant. So I wouldn't say that you are not advocating for that. It's just you are broadening your skill set. Not only are you doing the BA skills, but you're also doing building and configuring and maybe some testing and training, all the other stuff that consultant does. So I hope I've answered that question.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that. So we have one more question here from Renee. Says, how would you describe the difference between high-level pre-project value identification and project definition contribution one? The one and detailed in project requirements, elicitation and documentation on the other end. Please let me take that again. How would you describe the difference between high-level pre-project value identification and project definition contribution on the one hand, and detailed in-project requirements, elicitation and documentation on the other hand?
I will be completely honest with you, Renee. I do not know how to answer that question because I don't understand what you're trying to ask. Are you able to reframe that question in a way that
Exactly.
helps me understand it better?
All right, Renee, if you're on the call, please, you can just quickly do that so we can end the question and answer section. All right. I'm seeing on that. Do you think that BA also do pre-project work more like an architect?
Different companies do things differently. Some companies, again, I'm talking about Salesforce practice, right? They will require multi-hats. So you might have a solution architect. So a solution architect is an architect with BA skills, right? So pre-project work, do you mean like pre-sales? So pre-sales doesn't mean it's architectural. Architecture tells me that you're trying to solution the system, how you do the integration. Are you doing Apex or flows and things like that? It's quite a big line between business analyst and architect. Cross-functional is what I would call a solution architect who's got really good PA skills, but also design skills. So I interpret that question as PA being, yes, thank God, go ahead.
All right. Sorry. All right, thank God you have the floor. Okay, I think I need to give him the permission. All right, thank God you have the floor, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much, P, for the wonderful section. I'll start by saying that. And also, down to Renee's question, I've been in a situation where I see tax where BA, they have to get involved in some of the architectural work, like I say pre-analysis. You understand? So sometimes you would see some BA get in a position where they had like they have to do some kind of architecture and all of that. You understand? Sometimes, right? I'll just narrow this down to me. There was this project I'm actually working on. Yeah. So initially, when the user story was passed on to me, right? I looked at the project. I looked at the user story. I was like, okay, pretty much the project looks forward on paper. You understand? So when I started engaging some of the stakeholders on the site, right, I noticed that, with this project, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger over again. You understand? So what do I mean bigger and bigger again? So in that particular project, I was able to like deduce some other legs to the project where the user story didn't cover. Okay, let's say it's in the user story, but it's kind of hidden within. You understand? So I had to come up with this architecture. You understand? And this architecture guided me to like further break the user story down. You understand? Now, after coming up with this architecture, along the line, I had to do some elicitation because I had to engage with some of these stakeholders to say, okay, from this your user story, I feel some things are actually hidden. You understand? So I need to speak with you, right? We need to sit down to break out all of these things that were hidden. Now, I found myself doing some architectural work, you understand, trying to like know the leg this project is going to take for us to come up with a wonderful solution. You understand? And I also found myself actually going back to do the proper BA thing. You understand? Engaging the stakeholders. And back to Renee's question, right? Renee, I would say, just like Pay started off, it depends on the project. You understand? It depends on the project. I've got to like work on some projects where I just had to do the elicitation. I went straight and I said engaging the stakeholders. And I've also carried on some projects where I had to break down some of the architecture. You understand? I did the architecture myself. You understand? And it happens some of the times. And it depends on how complex a project is. You understand? It depends on how complex a project is or how easy it is. So if it's easy, you just go straight to perhaps do some of the requirements that we know that are peculiar to BAs. You understand? Then if it's that complex, then we have to now go through the route of like say getting the architecture. And again, right, I would also want to add that it depends on your understanding of whatever software you're using as a BA. You understand? Someone asks a question, oh, I'm used to being a BA and now I'm being pushed to being a consultant. You get the way Pay answered the question, I mean, it really resonates with me because see it as something that's actually growing. Like you're actually growing in that particular line. You understand? So whenever you find yourself in a situation where you have to face complex projects, you know that, okay, I need to build the architecture for this project. Come what may, I have to do it. I have to wear my BA hat and say, okay, I'm that top BA that can actually draw this thing and also engage the stakeholders perfectly.
All right. Thank you, thank God for that amazing response. Thank you so much. And thank you, Pay. It's been such an amazing evening with Pay. And I believe everyone has left with something they can hold on to, something they can reflect on after this call. So the quick Q&A section is coming to an end. And once again, I want us to celebrate and appreciate Pay for being here with us this evening, for delighting us, for making us, feel just different. It felt like I was taken into a different realm, just listening to her. So let's appreciate Pay for that. Let's appreciate Pay for that. I'm not seeing the reactions. I'm not seeing the reaction. Pay was so amazing this evening. So let's appreciate her and let's tell her thank you. I had an amazing evening. I had an amazing section. I'd love to see more of this. Let's celebrate her in the chat. Let's celebrate her in the chat. And we move to the last section for this evening. But before Thank God comes up, I want to say that the BA sprint will be closing this night by 11:59 p.m. Please do well to register. If you've not registered for it, that's the link in the chat. Do well to register for the BA sprint. It's going to be an intensive 5 week of learning everything BA. So do well to register for the BA sprint. So once again, Pay, thank you so much. We are really excited to have you this evening. Thank you really, really much. And definitely the old wrong answer thing, like someone said on the chat, turned their head. It also turned my head. And I came 24th. So yeah, thank you for that very awesome game. Very awesome game. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be bringing Thank God, who is the co-founder of Africa Wana, to give us the closing remark. So Thank God, are you ready for us?
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening once again. It's been a wonderful section so far, and I heard the moderator saying something like, we have lots of comments in the chat saying that Faye is very natural. Yes, she's actually very, very natural. You get whenever we get Faye on a section like this, our attendees they leave the room excited, filled with knowledge, impacted, and touched in one way or the other because she speaks directly to the soul. You understand? You know, it's different when someone speaks to you and when someone actually goes directly and touch you. You get so they're actually two different things, and that is what Faye um that is what she's known for. Understand? So thank you very much, Faye. You always say yes to us whenever we call. The love you have for our community is something we can't describe, we can't measure it. So we say thank you very much for always saying yes. Thank you very much for always answering that clarion call from West from Africa Ohana, from Africans. You understand? We really appreciate you. And I think very soon, right, we're going to adopt you. You get so you become a full-time African. I mean, we've been doing that to a lot of people. So I think you're the next target. Thank you very, very much for sharing the wonderful Niger with our community. We really appreciate you. All right, then to the moderator, thank you very much, Victor, for holding the room. Thank you for keeping the energy. I mean, without the energy, right? I'm sure a lot of people would have been like, oh, okay. I mean, this is actually 2 hours, and 2 hours felt like as if it was about 30 to 45 minutes. So thank you very, very much. And also to all who attended, right? Thank you again. Thank you very, very much for finding out time to mark this particular event on your calendar. We really appreciate. And also to the team at Africa Ohana, you get guys. I think you all we need to celebrate the team at Africa Ohana. Every single person is doing awesome to try to deliver all of these programs to you. Just a few days ago, we ended the 30-day Slack challenge. And about 5, 6, 7, 10 days later, yes, about 5, 6, 7 days later, we are starting up with a powerful 5 weeks business analysis sprint. And this is the very first for Africa Ohana. You get so, I mean, if you check in Africa, if you check around in Africa, I'm not sure we have like an institution that offers these back to back to back to back programs. Get you can go and check. Understand? We offer this back to back. We don't stop, and it's because of you. We turn up because of you. We do these things because of you. We do these things because of the love of the community. So I want you to wherever you see any of the team behind at Africa Ohana, please try and appreciate them and say thank you very, very much. And also try and register for the business analysis sprints. I'm sure Victor might have put the link, must have put the link in the chat. Copy
Yeah,
the
the
chat,
link is in the
copy
chat
the
box.
yeah, the link is in the chat. Copy the link, put it out there. Sorry, put it on your browser and register. I think it closes tonight. If you know that you're yet to do so, do that. If you're a community leader, please, everyone is welcome, not just Africans alone. Everyone is welcome. You get, irrespective of where you're joining us from, copy the link, send it to your community group, drop it there, and tell your members to register. It ends tonight, like few hours more. So again, thank you everyone, and I'll be hoping to see each and every one of us in about 2 days time when we kick off the 5 weeks business analysis sprint. And also once more, thank you, Pay. We love you so, so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Faye. We love you. We really do love you. Seriously, thank God is not even saying it the way we really love you. For real, we do so much love you. And thank you for the amazing section. So, but before you guys go this evening, you know we have amazing music, African flavored music for you guys. So you guys don't rush off the call. Stay off, stay on some minutes, enjoy, vibe to the music, and have a wonderful evening. So thank you all for listening and for joining us this evening, and enjoy the music.
Thank you. I do have to go to my dinner, but